All this FIM Motocross of African Nations action is proudly brought to you by the FIM Africa and their associate sponsors. Welcome to Harare in Zimbabwe and Donnybrook Park. It's the 2019 Motocross of African Nations, and what an incredible weekend we're expecting here, and big action expected out on a very well-prepared circuit. It's good to see local industry getting in behind this big event. It's probably the biggest event in Zimbabwe over the last couple of seasons, and Motocross of African Nations has come back home. This is where it all started in 1999. A big thanks to our B&B for looking after our camera crew and putting up with all their antics over the last 3 days. 7 nations have made their way down into Zimbabwe, and they're going to be competing with over 200 riders onto the track, so it's going to take a bit of a pounding. And they're expecting big things here, but big things always happen at the start of the event too. And great to have Dr. Benson Dube here from the Ministry of Sport to start off the proceedings.
And to all Wheelers Club, along with their sponsors, for putting together what promises to be the major motor sporting event of the year.
Certainly is. Botswana are fired up. They only just got across the border in time. And you can see a slightly smaller team from Botswana, but a very competitive one. Looking forward to seeing what they can do out on the track. Kenya are in the house, and they've got some very competitive riders, particularly in the junior categories. The smallest team comes from Morocco, and those 3 riders are going to fly the flag high and try and do the best they can in the 250s and 450s. As always, South Africa has a big contingent, and they are going to be arguably the most competitive and the favourites for this weekend. Another big team comes out of Uganda, and these boys and girls are definitely fired up. They certainly have got some great pace, particularly in the 85s and 125s. Zambia, as always, the most colourful team out there. And certainly looks like they're going to be looking forward to doing battle out on this very tricky track. Led out by St. John's College, a World Championship pipe band. The home nation, Zimbabwe, looking forward to doing their home nation a lot of good, and a big proud moment here for this team on their home track. The home nation's going to be managed by Gary Granger, and looks like it's going to be a very competitive team. Let's catch up with their team captain, Jaden Ashwell.
Captaining Team Zimbabwe this year, it's a privilege. The team's been working hard, and hopefully we come away today with some consistent points and hopefully to get the win. South Africa's going to be hard to beat, but I'm sure everyone's up for the fight.
In Kenya they certainly are, and Rolf Kiora is their team captain. Let's find out what their plans are.
This year we've come with much more riders than the last year. We've come with a stronger team. We've all trained and practiced and prepared hard for this event. We've all come looking forward to the event. It's always a great event, the organizing, just all the riders in the competition that comes from all the countries. And yeah, so we're prepared, we're ready to give a good fight and showcase our talent.
And they really have got some great talent in Kenya, as they have in Botswana. And D'Artagnan Lovejoy is the captain, and he's going to be followed by some very competitive riders and backed up as well. Let's see what he's feeling like.
We're in good spirits and we're looking forward to this awesome event. And without all our sponsors that came on board for this year, it wouldn't have been possible. So to Botswana Motorsport, BNSC, thank you guys so much, Goma Lagoon Camp and Agua for all the water. We appreciate it.
We've got a massive team coming out of Uganda, and they're looking forward to possibly hosting next year. So let's see what the All-In boys and the rest of the team can do. Let's catch up though with Maxime Van P to find out what their plans for the weekend are.
Alright, so this year we managed to bring a team of 36 riders, which is probably the biggest team we've taken abroad. And as a captain, I'm really proud and happy to be fielding such a big team in Zimbabwe here for the African Championship. The team is looking good. Only we have one rider who got an injury just about 2 weeks ago. One of our best riders actually. But other than that, the team is looking really good, especially in the younger classes. The 85, 50, 65 are really strong in those categories. And also in the 125 class, we also have some good riders. So really looking forward to the competition, and we're going to do our best to get a podium or even better.
Hunting podiums is what it's all about, and Zambia are certainly hunting podiums, particularly in the ladies category. Scott Haygate, though, is the team captain. His sister Leah will be looking to fly the flag high.
Well, this year we've brought a fairly small team to Zimbabwe. For once, Zambia, we've done a lot of training with trainers from South Africa, and I feel that, this year we've brought a fairly prepared team to take on, the event, which I'm really chuffed about. And for us, our juniors, it's more of the experience for them than anything else. So for our juniors, they're here to gain the experience to take to the next event, whether it will be South Africa, Zambia. It's all about the racing experience and racing with a bigger group of people.
7 nations racing, and the one that's travelled the furthest and brought their Minister of Sport is Morocco. Fantastic to see the 3 riders there. Let's catch up with their team manager, Jamal Shatui, to find out what their plans are for the weekend.
Now we are here, we are happy with the new bikes and the third riders, team with the third riders with KTM. We are happy to be here with all riders South African. So we hope that we will be in the third country at the podium.
Arguably the most competitive country this weekend is going to be South Africa, with a lot of support from the sidelines, particularly from the youngsters. Great to see them out there. Let's catch up with Jeff Den, their team captain.
I believe events like this are important. I mean, at the second event we went to, which was up in Kenya in 2002, the Ugandan team arrived, using him as an example, with an old Ford Escort XR3, 5 guys in it, having travelled 1,000 Ks, with like a cattle trailer with 3 or 4 bikes thrown in the back, no tie-downs. It was actually quite sad to see the condition of those old bikes, but the guys made an effort, they tried. You look at the Ugandan team now, they are huge. You can see how they've grown. The guys are from Morocco. Kenya is a huge team. They've all got fast riders. Zimbabwe is such a strong team. Zambia has grown. I mean, the numbers here is incredible. Over 200 bikes. It's 85 cars is a full gate. The other practices are still got to happen, so I haven't seen, but the numbers are incredible. It's fantastic.
Welcome back to Donnybrook for the Motocross of African Nations here at the Bog Wheelers Club, and Donnybrook Park has got an incredible track ready to go for all of these youngsters, and we're going to be concentrating now on all the junior categories this week. We'll catch up with the seniors next week, but they're all fired up and they are looking forward to getting out there to do battle and fly their flags high for each of their respective nations. 7 of them out here, and in the junior categories over 150 riders. It is absolutely amazing to see how everybody has come together here, and all of the support as well from local industry and local sponsors. With the riders briefing underway now, final bits and pieces being spent to the riders and to the teams to ensure that the rules are not digressed in any way. And we're going to kick things off with the MX50cc category, the future of the sport, and it certainly looks good with almost 30 riders lining up in the gate. It's going to get windy out there on occasions, hopefully not too bad. Great to see Taramanzi Drilling and Darweezy helping us out with the water tenders and the water. These youngsters are looking forward to going to battle. Final bit of checks to the bikes, the gates are up and they're almost good to go. Expect to see the South Africans at the front end, but never ever take out of the equation any one of those riders coming out of Uganda and Zimbabwe, particularly here on their home circuit. The Yamaha Marine lady makes it 15 to 5 seconds and they head down towards turn number 1. Oh, a rider down right from the word go. A couple of guys getting caught out there. Remember the small wheels with this very, very awesome circuit and the amount of soil that's available. You can see already starting to take a bit of strain. Coming through the back end there, you can see a little bit of chopping and changing there. Benji Duran from Zimbabwe having to fight it out. But out front, what a start. The 15 bike out the front end there. And what an amazing run so far from Logan Van Vuren. He's come from national championship podiums and now into second place at the Motocross of African Nations. Ethan Williamson, though, was the man that they all were concerned about. And great to see Christian Barrington-Smith with an injured wrist just getting signed off in time and getting up onto the front end of the battle right from the word go. The rider that went down was bike 9, that's Kuzwadi Chutwara, and unfortunately he had some problems there. The Zimbabwean just getting caught out on that start line. Van Vuren's dropped down to third place, And it looks like a battle at the front end, and all of a sudden Mxoan Tabula has joined them as well. So Mxoan Tabula from Uganda is up there with Jake Van Schoor, the birthday boy, looking for a chance to run at the front end. Behind them, Trent Valsecki, who's running on independent colours. It's one of the reasons why he's got that white bib on. And then you can see Liam Ntale coming through there, just ahead of the number 10 bike, Junior Bucko. Great start here as well, coming through there. Ashraf Mbabazi from Kenya, having a fantastic run. But out front, it's a battle between two riders, and it's Christian Barrington-Smith who's trying to close down on Williamson as one of the Kenyans goes down there. Giza Benzinga is down for the second time now. A little bit of issues there for him. No issues at all, though, for Van Schoor. Van Schoor starting to put the pressure on at the front end and trying to close down on Logan van Vuuren, on Christian Barrington-Smith, and Mxoan Tabula. Great run here as well. In the mid-pack, you can see Miguel Katenda starting to put in the pressure. Once again, Junior Bucko coming up over towards the start-finish line. Right on his tail, his teammate, Sebastian Wright. And Seb is having a fantastic outing here on his home track. The Zimbabweans getting to the front end, but nowhere near the pace of the two South African boys. In fact, make it three South African boys and the man from Uganda. Ethan Williamson now starting to eat into the laps and pulling away to a slight advantage over Mxoan Tabula. And waiting for the checkered flag now. Looks like he's done it all to perfection here in the very first outing. On his tail is Mxoan Tabula, and right behind him comes Christian Barrington-Smith for the third spot. What a ride there with the injury from Barrington-Smith. Confirmation of the overall results, though, for the weekend. It's Ethan Williamson who takes the win ahead of Christian Barrington-Smith. Mxoan Tabula from Uganda comes through for third place, and the birthday boy Jake Van Schoor gets fourth place. What a proud moment to be on this podium. From the podium, we'll head back down into the start gates with the 65cc's all lined up and ready to go, and expect a very, very competitive field. Small wheels once again on these little 65s, so they may take a little bit of strain out there. Fortunately, they're right behind the 50s, so it's going to be a little bit easier. And later on in the weekend, as it starts to get ripped up here in Donnybrook. Great to see a big contingent from Uganda, from Zimbabwe and South Africa. Expect to see the battle between those three nations, but with 7 nations competing in this category, there's going to be some big fights, no doubt about it. The 5-second board and the gates drop. Down towards turn number 1. Who's going to have what it takes here as they head towards Tadamanzi, the first right-hander, and then through down into the first left-hander. Is that Jordan van Wyk who's at the front? I think it is. The South African getting the whole shot and just showing the rest of the field a way around. Right on his tail is the 11 of Liam Botha, so the two South Africans are 1 and 2. Then you've got Alon Orland from Uganda, right up there with the two South African boys. Great start there from the Ugandan. Right behind them comes Jack Pullen, then Aidan Henley. Carl Van Us up there as well, and Daryl Muhindo. Tarek Shelton, what a great start there from him as they come flying through there and going to be getting into the mix here right at the start of the 65cc heat. They head down into the bottom section of the circuit as they come back towards us. This is the arena section now. The little 50cc's took a shortcut through there, but these guys take the big long berm around the outside, and you can see just how hard those little wheels are working in this very, very awesome sand. Coming out of the stumble block, right-hander now, and heading up over that big tabletop by Tadamanzi. They head back down into the bomber hole section and out into the quarry. And it looks like Jordan van Wyk is just controlling things from the front end. Liam Botha running right there with him, just opposite numerical order there, 12 ahead of 11, but Alon Orland doesn't seem to have an answer just yet. Maybe he's waiting and just biding his time. In the background, Carl Van Us comes through there. What a start there from the youngster, and on his tail is his teammate Declan Barrett. Declan Barrett actually set a very hot lap time in the practice sessions, and the Zimbabwean looked like he might be right at the front end in this battle. Josh Hulkier also looking for a chance to run at the front for Zimbabwe, but it's just dropped back into that mid-pack and fighting for top 10 honours. The front end, though, is Van Wyk. And a big jump back down into the stadium section once again there, and getting away now from Liam Botha, who doesn't seem to have an answer to him. Botha's got to be concerned, though, as they come up into the back markers, and I'll be worried about the guys behind. Aidan Henley up there as well. Good start there from the other South African rider. And you can see just in that mid-pack, you've got Peter Brink, Declan Barrett, Josh Hulkier. You've got Nsabunga there from Kenya, and you've also got Luke Southern from Zimbabwe. Now the Zimbabwean up there with a good start. Jack Goby just outside the top 10. Fantastic effort there from him. And as they come across the line, they're trying to close down on Jordan van Wyk. Look at the gap he's pulled over his teammate, Liam Botha. Van Wyk is going to be a difficult man to beat here this weekend. There's no doubt about it. As they come flying through here, you can see a big move from Alon Orland in amongst those back markers. He hasn't had it quite his own way. The back markers have definitely cost him a little bit of time. Elang Chabana coming through there as well from Botswana. The young Botswanan rider just taking a little bit of strain here in the closing stages as the leaders go past him yet again, and he gets lapped and dropped down one position. So out front, it's Jordan van Wyk, and he's doing it all right. The South African has not put a wheel wrong here at all. In amongst some of the independent riders there. Campbell Rennie going through there as well from Zimbabwe, but running in independent colours there with that white bib on. Botha still in second place. hasn't found an answer just yet. Neither has Alon Orland. The back markers have not been good to Orland. He's dropped back, and unfortunately looks like he's not going to have enough time there to close in. Louis Mostert is up into the 4th spot, and on his tail comes Jack Pullen. Good ride there from the youngster. He's closed down rapidly by the 102 there, Aidan Henley. And then 19 coming through there as well. Well, a little bit of a back marker, but being closed down now by, of course, the Zimbabwe contingent of Declan Barrett and Josh Halkia. 2 Zimbabwean boys looking for top 10 honours. That's exactly what they're going to be pushing for, and possibly going to finish up in the single digits. Man is going to take the win, though, quite easily in the end. After a rider goes down right in front of him there in the closing stages is the winner, Jordan van Wyk. A great run there from the South African. And it's South Africa 1 and 2 as Liam Botha comes through to beat out Alon Orland to the line. Overall results in the 65s going to Alon Orland, though, from Uganda, beating Jordan van Wyk, Botha, Pullen, Mostert and Henley from South Africa. That's one big podium, and one that you'd love to be at the top at. Congratulations goes out to Alon Orland. Let's head down now into the 85cc field, where there's a big contingent of riders all looking to go at it. Favourites at the front end of this field is definitely going to be champion from last year, Stav Orland. Diane Manuel on his own home track, and never ever take out Luke Grundy, Nate McClellan and Garrick Henley from South Africa, who'll be looking to run at the front end. They're all fired up now and in the gates and ready to go. Luke Grundy is definitely going to be looking to push hard and get to the front as soon as possible. And the Zambians are there as well.
What's up, James?
Nothing much.
Yeah. You gonna win this race?
I don't think so.
You're gonna try.
I'll try hard.
James Hall is going to be hauling out of those gates. There's no doubt about it. But there's the man they all want to catch, Stav Orland. And man, is this kid fast out of the gates. They're about to drop now, waiting for that 5-second board to go up. As soon as it flicks over by a Yamaha Marine Lady, we head down into turn 1 and out the gates. It looks like it's a fantastic start coming out of Diane Manuel. Manuel is at the front and is going to show the boys how to go around his home track. He's going to be a tough man to beat here. We saw him at Summer Series and how fast he was, and look at how quick he is now, scrubbing over that second jump. Right on his tail, it's Stav Orland. Then you've got Grundy. Great start there from the South African contingent as well, with McClellan getting a fantastic and a high-flying start there from McClellan as he comes across that massive big tabletop at the back, the ice feed tabletop, with a massive jump as well, and great slow-mo there from the cameraman. Heading down into the bottom quarry section now for the first time, and Diane Manuel and Orland getting away from the front end. You can see Orland cannot afford to let Diane Manuel get away. The kind of pace he had in practice is going to be very tricky to match. The rest of the pack come through there. Garrick Henley comes flying past, so does Jamie Duran. Then you've got Kylan Wiseka out there as well. Walid Omar, what a start from the youngster. And up through there in the 7 bike is Ricky White. Good to see the man who's been spending a lot of time on the circuit. That's the tarmac as opposed to the dirt. Doing a great job once again for his country. He's, of course, an ex-champion at African of Nations. But this man looks like he wants to take the championship this season. And this year, it's all about Diane Manuel. Look at the gap he's already starting to pull there over Stav Orland. Orland with a lot of international experience. Diane Manuel just using his home track experience to show these boys the way around. 15 up the top end and a good start as well coming out of that 15 bike. That's Lucas Venter. And Venter's just ahead there of Nate McClellan. So it's Zimbabwe versus Uganda at the front, but we've got 4 South Africans behind that, and that's vital. Remember, championship points and team points count here. So no matter how many wins you take, you do need other riders to back you up. And you can see the next rider down is Jamie Duran from Zimbabwe, and he's out of the top 5 and being closed down there by the 13 of Garrick Henley. Another rider down, and speaking of riders down, Emmanuel Bako crashed in the practice session and broke his collarbone. So one of Zimbabwe's big hopes in this category, unfortunately out, which means that Diane Manuel literally has to try and fly the flag high on his own, along with the help of Jamie Duran and Ricky White. And with Duran out of the top 5 and White out of the top 10, it's going to be very difficult for Zimbabwe to possibly take the overall in this championship. In this particular one, of course, he will probably take the win for the individual side of things. But it's a team game here when it comes to the African nations. And you can see just how hard the teams are working in the background, particularly South Africa. 14 and 15 at the front end, Grundy and Venter. And Venter's trying to close down now on Luke Grundy. Arch rivalries there. Behind them comes Nate McClellan, and then Garrick Henley, and then only Jamie Duran. So Duran now up into what is going to be 6th place on track. If you go further back there, you'll pick up on Ricky White. He's just outside the top 10 in 13th place, lucky for some. And then some of the independent riders up there as well. You can see things starting to get a bit of a mix-up here in that mid-pack. It's great to see battles raging all the way through. And the 28 there, Walid Omar, doing a great job. You can see just how hard it is for the smaller nations to go at it when you've got such strong riders coming out of Zimbabwe and South Africa. And let's take nothing away from the boys from Uganda. Problems though. Oh, just stalling the bike. And Dylan Faison eventually gets going again. Just in time to keep out the attack from Jeremiah Mwanda. And there you can see, well, it's Diane Manuel who's just eating up this pack. But he does need some help from the back end. So does Stav Orland. It's going to be costly at the end. In fact, Stav Orland falling into the clutches there of Grundy. And there's big support on the sideline for Kenya. One of the biggest support bases comes out of Kenya. They are loving life on the side there. Ricky White now just ahead of Milton Obote. Milton Obote, independent rider, but also out of the Zimbabwe camp. Checkered flag's about to come out though. The win is going to go to Diane Manuel, and pretty easily in the end as well. A fantastic outing there from the local man on his home track. And he beats out overall in the 85cc MX Lights, Stav Orland and Nate McClellan. Luke Grundy comes through for 4 ahead of Henley. It's Wekesa there from Uganda, and a great ride from Fenta and Duran. Diane Manuel on the top step of the podium. Join us after the break for more action from the motocross of African nations. Welcome back to Donnybrook Park, and eyes on the prize, baby. That's what it's all about here for motocross of African nations. And the African nations have come out thick and fast here, and so have the crowds. 12,000 people over the 3 days here at Donnybrook Park, one of the biggest crowds they've ever had. And they're about to go at it now for the 125s as they line up for their heats of the weekend. Botswana looking for a chance to get onto the podium now in the 125s. But 125s has been dominated by the South Africans and Zimbabweans when it came to the practice sessions. Davin Cocker is an independent rider but should be on the Zimbabwean team and certainly will be a big threat at the front end, along with South Africa's hope, Dalton Fenta. Tristan Granger has been exceptionally quick and in fact in the practice session set the fastest lap of the weekend so far on a 125. What is Dalton Fenta going to do about it now as that 5-second board drops and the gates go down for racing? Here we go. MX 125s out the gates. Is it Fenta who gets the drop down into turn 1? It is. Fenta going on the inside and cutting across. Around the outside though comes Tristan Granger looking for a chance to get through there from the word go. And as they get down into the dust, you can see it's getting a lot dustier as the track starts to rip up. A couple of riders using the inside lines and more. And Marshall's diving to the wayside to stay out the way of this big pack of no fear riders. This is the Brat Pack, the 125 high school category, arguably one of the most competitive classes of the weekend, and definitely going to be showing some massive action at the front end as they get into the thick of it here at Donnybrook. They come out of the bottom section now in that quarry and heading back into the stadium. It's Dalton Fenta who seems to have a slight advantage there over Davin Cocker. Cocker's up in second place. In third place, starting to close things down there, is the 11 bike of Christian Saliers, second of the South African boys. Behind him, looks like it's Tristan Granger who will be coming through there for Zimbabwe. No, it's not. Granger's still going to have to try and find a way through there on Cosmos Mamalukas coming out of Botswana. I did say the Botswanans will be looking for their first podium, and that's the man they're hoping is going to get it for them. The rest of the field comes streaming through there, and we've got some very, very competitive riders in there. You've got the likes of Thabo Verster and Brees Romans, Cameron Malore out there as well, Wazia Omar and David Evans. And don't ever take out Ali Omar Yasser coming out of Morocco as well. Big high-flying CIT Husqvarna, and it is the South African now who's opening up a big margin. There's no answer just yet, though, coming from the back end from Dalton Fenta, Davin Cocker, or from Tristan Granger. Granger, though, I think has just turned the wick up, and he's starting to close down on the back end of Christian Saliers. Saliers' days could be numbered, particularly with the youngster who went so well at the Summer Series in 2018 on this track. You're going to have to try and close down on Davin Cocker, his friend from Zimbabwe, but of course riding independently this weekend. And there you can see Cosmos Mamalukas not too far off the back end there of Christian Saliers and Granger. Coming up now into some back markers, Luke Duran about to be caught. Possibly going to be fighting it out there, as you can see there with Stephen Vidmar and looks like Teto Chibani from Botswana. 28 goes down there, that's Omar Yasser. And he's now in the thick of it. It's going to get surreal. The back end of the field, Kudamene and Joshua Mngwala. And Mngwala, of course, is the son of the man who's going to put it all together in 2020 in Uganda. So the Ugandan boys now starting to get up into that top 10 fight. No one even close to the man out front, though, and he's been a difficult man to beat in South Africa. He's a difficult man to beat in Zimbabwe as well. And we saw that at Summer Series, and we're seeing it here today, as Dalton Fenta opens up a massive advantage and is having a bit of fun out there as well now. Starting to whip it for the crowd. Tristan Granger starting to turn the wick up, though, as he closes in on Christian Saliers. Saliers' days could be numbered here. He's going to have to be very, very wary as Granger starts to close him down and looks for a chance to get up onto the podium. The 41 bike there of Stephen Vidmar comes through for Zambia. Here comes Granger. Saliers right in front of him, and looks like there could be a chance here for a bit of a change-up in the proceedings. How far up the road is Davin Cocker as well? Let's keep an eye on that too. Coming through there, Cameron Malor, great ride. And then Yassa back up again. Fantastic see Alioma Yassa back up and back into the top 10 as well. This is the flag time, and it's all about Fenta as he comes through. Easily done in the end. Dalton Fenta taking the win and the overall. Ahead of Davin Cocker for the independent teams. Tristan Granger makes it the top 3 there for Zimbabwe. And then it's all about South Africa, Uganda and Botswana for the remaining parts of the podium. Let's catch up though with our winner, Dalton Fenta.
I had a good weekend, I got all the wins, and yeah, it was a good time in Zimbabwe. I'd just like to thank my sponsors, CRT Askivana, TRP Distributors, the Kamali, Dunlop, and all my parents.
Don't forget to catch next week the FIM of African Nations from Zimbabwe with the Pee-wees. You got to see how cute they are. The ladies, the vets and masters, and our 2 premier categories, MX2 and MX1. We'll see you next week. All this FIM Motocross of African Nations action is proudly brought to you by the FIM Africa and their associate sponsors.